Good evening, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you again for joining me. I always appreciate your presence. Today is January the 5th, 2023. I have several news updates to share with you. So, first, I will start with a military report from Oromo Liberation Army. Uh, then a little bit update on Prosperity Party internal conflict fighting. Uh, then I will proceed with other news. So I will start with OLA military report today. Thank you again for joining me. Let's listen to the speaker. Then I have a rough translation of the report.
Bara 2023 fudhattee qabannee isiniif dhiyaanne irraa injifannoo cululuqaa fi diina baaraksan waliin naatoo lammii. Waraanni bilisummaa Oromoo abdii fi gaachanni uummata Oromoo godina Qellam Wallaggaa aanaan Filloo guutummaatti dhuunfate. Aleellaan xiyyaara waraanaa diroonii, dhukaasni sagalee diishqaa, bireenaa, isnaayiperaa, qawwee akaamaa Turkii fi RPG'n kan isa hin baaraksine diigaan tulluu gabrummaa gootichi waraana bilisummaa Oromoo waboon lola jabaa ganama kana loltoota faashist Abiyyi Ahmed waliin godina Qellam Wallaggaa aanaan Filloo keessatti taasisaniin guutuutti aanicha dhuunfatee jira. Har'a ganama amajjii 5 bara 2023 barii sa'aatii 12 irraa qabuun tarkaanfii jabaan magaalaa Mukkii fi Ashii kanneen magaalaa gudditti godina Qellam Wallaggaa magaalaa Dambidolloo irraa kiiloomeetira 42 hin caalle irra jiran lamaan irratti rasaasa akka bakakkaa itti roobsuun irra irraa baaraksee kan simate jajjabeen waraana bilisummaa Oromoo diina ilmaan Oromoo hedduu ajjeesee gariin madeessee meeshaalee garaagaraa dhuunfatee jira. Lola kanaanis loltoonni biltiginnaa 65 yoo ajjeefaman 96 madaa'uun 25 harkaan qabamanii jiru. Meeshaalee waraanaa qawwee akaamaa 202, baazuqaa tokko, meeshaalee diishqaa garaagaraa, bombii harkaa, hidhannoo, konkolaataa siree fi waraanaa 10 fi meeshaalee waraanaa boodatti hafoo dugda diinaa irraa booji'uun qallaba diinaas fe'atee jira. Kana malees hawaasa nagaa maqaa waraana bilisummaa Oromoo deeggartu jedhuun baadiyyaa fi magaalaa irraa qabamanii waajjira poolisiitti hidhamanii jiran 100 ol waanjoo biltiginnaa jalaa baasuun bilisaan gara maatii isaaniitti akka galan taasisee jira. Mooraa waraana diinaa gubee barbadeessuu hanga caasaa isaan ilmaan Oromoo ajjeesuuf diriirfamee diiguutti abdii fi gaaddisni uummata Oromoo waraanni bilisummaa Oromoo hojii boonsaa hojjetee jira. Guyyaa har'aa kana lola humna reebduu magaalaa Dambidolloo irraa dhufaa turte gandamaaxaa irratti loluun hanga magaalaa Dambidollootti ari'anii 35 irraa ajjeesuun 53 madeessanii qawwee akaamaa 15 irraa hiikuun dantaa qabsoo bilisummaa Oromoof galii taasisanii jiru. Hanga gabaasni kun qindaa'etti hafteen waraana Abiyyi Ahmed karaa ganda goobbii baqachuun miilaan gara Dambidollootti imalaa akka jiranis beekamee jira. Waraanni bilisummaa Oromoo hojii caasaa qulqulleessuu itti fufuun magaalattii to'atee kan jiru yoo ta'u, murni biltiginnaa aleellaa xiyyaara waraanaa diroonii jedhamuun magaalaa Muggii ganda duwwaa 2 karaa lammaffaa dugda duuba gamoo abbaa kuleetti taasiseen qabeenya namootaa irraan miidhaa qaqqabsiisee jira. Lolli bilisummaa Oromiyaa mara keessatti finiinee itti fufa. Horaa bulaa deebanaa injifannoon uummata Oromoof.
In Sudan. There we go. I will come back to the Sudan protesters coming back to the street again. So, in short, that's OLA, Oromo Liberation Army victory on today's early morning operation, despite Prosperity Party, having the upper hands in weapons, drones, and other military hardwares. OLA conducted a successful operation in Qellam Wallagga zone and took total control of the place or the district called Ana Fillo. So this is So in this operation, OLA forces killed 65 Prosperity Party forces, injured 96, and captured 25 of them. Confiscated the following weapons: 102 AK-47, bazooka, one, other or different other different types of weapons, including dishka, hand bombs, plus 10 military vehicles. OLA operation also set free more than 100 prisoners who, the government accused them of supporting Shani or OLA. So they are freed more than 100 prisoners. Again, Prosperity Party sent reinforcement from Dambidolo. Then OLA engaged with these forces, killed 35 of them, injured 53, also confiscated 15 AK-47 weapons, and forced this group, the remaining of Prosperity Party forces, to retreat to Dambidolo. And the government used drones, maybe angry in this operation, and they used drones to attack civilian targets and destroy civilian property in the place called Mugi. Mugi. In a similar operation, OLA conducted on January 4th, 2023, in East Wallagga, and attacked the military, the police station in East Wallagga, in the place called Deba Dirre. So they attacked the police station there and freed more than 65 prisoners. Those are already sentenced to from 8 years to 22 years plus life imprisonment. So they are just, the government in Oromia region just storing Oromos just for expressing opposition to leadership or for expressing something. You cannot oppose anything. So they are just storing elders, youngsters in their prison cells. And OLA took this advantage, attacked the prison cell in Deba Dirre in East Wallagga, Nakamt, and released 65 prisoners. And I watched this video, and some of them are very elderly. They, demand constant attention. Forget about putting them in prison. They need constant attention. They are very elderly, but those Prosperity Party, they don't care. They don't care. So some of the freed prisoners also happily welcomed to join OLA armed struggle against Prosperity Party. So the report concluded this kind of resistance against Prosperity Party, against all forces in Oromia, will continue until all Oromia is free. And as you already know, Abiy Ahmed and his team rejected a peaceful settlement for the ongoing war in Oromia. So the only option now is to fight and to force them, to bring them to the table. That's the only thing. Until that happens, the movement, the fight for freedom and justice will continue. Okay, so according to several different news outlets, Prosperity Party is in a very serious status at this time. Very tough internal conflict, especially between Amara and Oromo Prosperity Party. So they are having different closed, secured meeting in Addis Ababa, in Bahar Dar. So even after confiscating, electronics device, information is coming out. What they are talking about, what they are discussing. So there's a tough internal conflict, tough internal fighting, and mistrust, and an attempt to take advantage against each other is ongoing. And the Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister, when he came to power, he promised open meeting with the media presence, all prosperity meeting, or all the political party meeting. But now they are trying to hide something, having a closed meeting, secured meeting, but still some party members are willing to share what happened in those meetings. So they are in a very tough situation. Plus the situation in capital city Addis Ababa, the bulldozering of residential homes, that's also creating tension. Also the issue related with Oromo language, flag, so many issues. So plus other issues, instability in that country, and the chaos in Prosperity Party. So it's making that country, ungovernable, or putting the country in danger because of those internal fighting. The police, the army, and the intelligence also sent out the warning on the coming holidays. They are claiming there are anti-peace groups maybe trying to attack the upcoming holidays, Timkat, or Ethiopian Christmas. So they are releasing statement asking the public to inform anything suspicious. So this, you see the tension. This is the tension and instability in that country because of the inability of Prosperity Party governing Ethiopia. Okay, let's continue with other news. Here we go. The first one is Ethiopia is getting a new ambassador. So President Joe Biden assigned a new ambassador. His name is Ervin Jose Masinga. Let me read. Ervin Jose Masinga of Washington, a career member of the Senior Foreign Service class of Minister Counselor to the Ambassador, Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the United States of America to the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. There you go. So I have his picture here. This is the guy now newly assigned for Ethiopia. Let me see what the credential he has. Ervin Masinga is a Foreign Service Minister Counselor and is the State Department's Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of African Affairs between 2020 and 2021. He served as the acting principal deputy assistant secretary in the Bureau of South and Central Asia Affairs. And between 2018 and 2020, he was the deputy assistant secretary for Pakistan. Masinga served as Deputy Chief of Mission in Khartoum, Sudan from 2016 to 2018 and in Conakry, Guinea from 2013 to 2016. Other assignments include overseas tours in the Dominican Republic, Chile, Cote d'Ivoire, China, as well as domestic assignment in the State Department's Bureau of Intelligence and Research, the Bureau of African Affairs, the Bureau of Energy and Economic Affairs, and at the Office of the United States Trade Representative. Mr. Masinga is a graduate of Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service 1990 and the University of Washington's Graduate School of Public Affairs 1995. He has studied Spanish, French, and Mandarin Chinese. Credit U.S. State Department. So that's about Erwin Masinga. Erwin Jose Masinga, assigned as U.S. Ambassador in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. This is good news for Ethiopia. Germany hands over 9 tractors, 21 combined harvester machines to Ethiopia through Development Bank. Credits Addis Standard, couple of them for Addis Standard. The German Development Bank, KfW, has handed over 9 tractors and 21 new combined harvesters machines to the clients of Development Bank of Ethiopia, DBE, through the Agricultural Mechanization and Leasing Project, AMLP. In a statement sent to Addis Standard, the German embassy in Addis Ababa said Germany has a steady partnership with Ethiopia, supporting Ethiopia's agricultural development through financial and technical cooperation in a bid to elevate productivity through the Agricultural Mechanization Leasing Project, AMLP, run by Development Bank of Ethiopia. Accordingly, Germany's KfW Development Bank has provided 15 million euros for the project to provide access to foreign currency, capacity building, and the provision of technical requirement to the Development Bank of Ethiopia to ensure a sustainable utilization of the machinery. Additional 22 tractors, 16 combined harvesters and equipment have been ordered, and their delivery is expected in the months to come, the statement added. The use of lease financing in Ethiopia bears huge potential for an increase in access to finance and tackling the forex issue in the country. By addressing the needs of the underserved agricultural sector, the project is closely aligned with objectives of the National 10-Year Development Plan in terms of further developing this sector. So that's good news coming from German, okay? This is UK ambassador in Ethiopia, interview with Addis Standard. I just take part of it and read what he says. He say his name is UK ambassador to Ethiopia. His name is Alastair McPhail, doctor or PhD. Alastair McPhail is a UK ambassador in Ethiopia. Interview with Addis Standard. He say any pressure that the international community was applying was to stop the conflict, to stop the fighting, to protect civilians, to protect the vulnerable. For his final message asked by Addis Standard, this Ambassador Alastair said, well, I think my message is that this is an amazing country with huge potential, and the way to realize this potential is to be a country at peace. And we recommend sustaining its amazing development which it owned before. Therefore, I would repeat that there are no military solutions to the political issues which need to be addressed. All the issues of poverty, all the issues of frustrated ambitions, the way to make the most of this amazing country with huge potential is through peace, economic and political reforms, as well as by creating a genuine, inclusive national dialogue in a way that everyone feels they have a stake in the future. The less the conflicts in the country, the more the people will engage with each other, because the diversity of this country is spectacular, and to harness it would be amazing. So that is his take uh, uh, on Ethiopia, on the interview he had with Addis Standard. I don't know if Prosperity Party agrees with his assessment, having, you know, inclusive, genuine dialogue with all stakeholders. This thing is repeated multiple times, but Prosperity Party rejected it and continued its, destructive way. It's destructive way. The country is in a very tough situation. So it's a long interview. If you are interested to read all his interview, you can check it out at this standard. This one is Dr. Tedros Adhanom, WHO chief, giving his assessment on Ethio-Tigray peace deal. Ethio-Tigray peace deal, and some media are reporting that representatives from Tigray region are in Addis. I didn't see that one, but they are saying delegation, coming to Addis Ababa to meet the Prime Minister and other Prosperity Party to discuss engagement, further engagement in position sharing, or about the removal of TPLF from terrorist watch list. Maybe further details, we don't know. But they are in Addis Ababa. Let me see. Let me read what this Addis Standard is saying about this WHO chief. WHO chief applauds good progress in humanitarian aid flow to Tigray, but says Eritrean forces continued massacring civilians. Director General of the World Health Organization, WHO, Tedros Adhanom, PhD, said there was a good progress both in food and medicines delivery and the resumption of basic services in the Tigray region following the peace deal signed in 2nd November between Ethiopian government and Tigray forces, but expressed his concerns over the continued occupation of the Eritrean forces, massacres on civilians in parts of the region. In his media briefing on the global health issues in Geneva, Dr. Tedros said Wednesday that there was progress in the flow of humanitarian aid and the resumption of basic services such as banking and telecommunications, but given the huge humanitarian need in the region, there are a lot of areas that are not yet covered. Furthermore, Dr. Tedros said that the presence of Eritrean forces in Tigray has continued to be a big challenge. The only problem now we see is the continued occupation of Tigray by the Eritrean army. They continue massacring civilians. We believe that could affect the peace agreement reached by both parties, he underscored, adding, international community should help in making sure that Eritrea respects the peace deal and withdraw from Tigray and stop the massacre. I agree. On 14 December, Dr. Tedros said Eritrean troops killed his uncle and more than 50 others in a village in the Tigray. Despite media reports that Eritrean forces have started withdrawing from Tigray, residents say they continue to occupy cities like Aksum, where Eritrean military vehicle ran over civilians on Tuesday, killing 2 and severely injuring another, according to an eyewitness. That's a tragedy. That's a tragedy Abiy is refused to talk about officially, to call on Eritreans to withdraw. The crime happened in Aksum City at a specific place called China Road near Area Kahisu Nursing School on Tuesday afternoon, the eyewitness told Addis Standard. Eritrean soldier hit the 2 civilians with old Mercedes military truck, killing 2 men. Members of the federal police and the Ethiopian Defense Force detained the driver after he committed the crime, the witness said, adding that he cannot tell whether it was deliberate or accidental. There we go. This is from U.S. State Department Security Reward for Justice, it says, from U.S. State Department. So, reward of up to 10 million for information. The Manda Bay attackers, any information leading for Al-Shabab members, persons who attacked the Manda Bay in Kenya. So there is a reward. Let me read. On January 5, 2020, dozens of Al-Shabab terrorists attacked U.S. personnel at military base in Manda Bay, Kenya, using mortars, rocket-propelled grenades, and small arms. It says, do you have information on those responsible for the attack? Submit your tip now. You could receive a reward of up to 10 million US dollar. So they have 2 numbers, one for Kenyan and another one for Somalia. So if you have any information on the Al-Shabaab members who attacked this base, and you could win, you could get $10 million. Let me read the numbers for those using Kenya number or Kenya 254-7187-12366. I repeat, 254-7187-12366. Those who are calling from Somalia, they can use this number, 252-6843-43308. So these are the numbers you can call, and if you are successful, you can win, you can get the $10 million. If you recall, if your tip leads for the capture of these Al-Shabab members who attacked that base, Manda Bay, in Kenya. Here we go. This is the last one for today. In a reading statement on a report by UN Group of Experts, press statement. This is Ned Price, Department spokesperson, US. The United States welcomes the midterm report by the United Nations Group of Experts released on December 30 and shares the concerns outlined in the report about the sharp increase in violence and the deterioration in the security and the humanitarian situation in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, or DRC. Recognizing the leadership of the heads of state of the East African Community and Angola, we urge Great Lakes leaders and armed actors to expedite implementation of multiple commitments to end the conflict, especially those agreed at the November 23 Luanda mini summit on peace and security. We expect the United Nations Sanctions March 23 movement M23 to withdraw to the location specified in the November 23 Luanda communique, and we call for all armed groups, including M23, to cease all hostilities, lay down their weapons, and join the East African Community-led Nairobi process consultation between the DRC government and armed groups. Noting the report's clear evidence of Rwandan support to M23 and credible reports of grave human rights abuses by M23, we reiterate our call for Rwanda to cease all support to M23 and withdraw its troops from Eastern DRC. Likewise, we denounce the collaboration between elements of the Congolese Armed Forces, FARDC, and armed groups, including FDLR, as outlined in the report. We strongly condemn attacks by multiple armed groups against UN peacekeepers, as well as the reported acts of torture, rape, and attacks against civilians by multiple armed actors, which contributed to massive displacement during the reporting period. Finally, we underscore our concern about the worrying escalation of xenophobia and hate speech inciting violence against the Rwandophone community in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which was highlighted in the report. We urge DRC officials to continue speaking out to condemn such discourse and to hold accountable those who employ violence. The United States welcomes the report's recommendation and commends African-led diplomatic efforts, including the Nairobi and Luanda processes to promote peace. So that is U.S. State Department press release on the situation in Democratic Republic of Congo and the tension in DRC, plus the Rwanda support for M23. Here we go. So that's the last one for today's reading. Let's continue with the videos I selected for you from different media. The first one is Sudanese protest, coming back to the streets of Khartoum. These people are, tireless, really. They have been doing this since al-Bashir was ousted. They are not like Ethiopians. They are not silent. They are fighting for their justice, freedom. Even though they are dying every other time, they are resisting. They are fighting to change the living standard in that country, the political situation. So they are coming back again. Let's listen to that one and continue with other videos. Thank you again.
In Sudan, hundreds of demonstrators took to the streets of the capital, Khartoum, on Thursday to demand the country's military rulers leave power. The demonstrators also rejected the deal struck weeks ago for the gradual transfer of power to civilian leaders. A military coup in October 2021 abruptly ended the previous democratic transition agreement with protest leaders. This march is a real and honest expression that the power is the people's power. Resources are the people's resources. The military needs to return to the barracks, and Janjaweed are to be disbanded. And there is no space for the military institution in power or economy, and that all the state issues have to be solved according to a new constitution with a new ideology that assigns the tasks and power for the military to protecting borders and the democratic system. Thursday's demonstration was led by the Resistance Committees, a grassroots group that has steadfastly rejected any negotiations with Sudan's military leaders. We are out today to reinstate a civilian country, and we are calling very clearly for the military to return to the barracks and for Janjaweed to be disbanded. Last month, the two military leaders signed a framework agreement with Sudan's main pro-democracy group.
That's an advertisement, actually.
If you're trying to leave Cuba, Nicaragua, or Haiti, or have agreed to begin a journey to America, do not just show up at the border. Stay where you are and apply legally from there. Starting today, if you don't apply through the legal process, you will not be eligible for this new parole program. One must have a lawful sponsor here in the United States who agrees to sponsor you to get here. Then, that person has to undergo rigorous background checks and apply from outside the United States and not cross the border illegally in the meantime.
That's Biden.
If they apply and their application is approved, they can use the same app, the CBP1 app, to present at a port of entry and be able to work in the United States legally for 2 years. That's the process. But if their application is denied, or if they attempt to cross into the United States unlawfully, they'll be returned back to Mexico and will not be eligible for this program after that.
There you go. That's a tough policy on immigrants rushing to cross into the United States.
Western allies have moved towards supplying armored battle vehicles to Ukraine for the first time since Russia's war began. But they're not the heavier tanks it requested. France says it will deliver light tanks. President Macron told Ukraine's leader Paris can spare some of its AMX-10RC combat vehicles. It's been gradually replacing them with new Jaguar battle tanks. In his nightly address, Volodymyr Zelensky stressed troops needed even more military hardware. We must put an end to the Russian aggression this year, he says, and not postpone any of the defensive capabilities that can speed up the defeat of the terrorist state. Modern Western armored vehicles, Western-type tanks are just one of these key capabilities. Meanwhile, Russia claims a continued offensive in the direction of the Donetsk region, which it partially occupies. It says it has successfully repelled Ukrainian counterattacks in the south.
That's the situation in Ukraine.
Applause from some of the 50,000 mourners as Pope Benedict's coffin is carried into
As
St. Peter's Square.
Benedict the 16th final.
And a cry from the crowd, Santo Subito,
well.
Saint Now, calling for the beatification of the former head of the Catholic Church who died at the age of 95.
Saying goodbye.
Benedict stepped down in 2013, citing poor health, the first pope in more than 600 years to resign. His successor, Pope Francis, who came to know him well, prayed for him on Thursday.
Gracious Father, we commend to your mercy Pope Emeritus Benedict, whom you made successor of Peter and shepherd of the Church, a fearless preacher of your word and a faithful minister of the divine mysteries.
Clearly this wasn't on the same scale as the last papal funeral in 2005 when John Paul II died. Still, 200,000 people came to view Benedict's body lying in state at St. Peter's Basilica before this public ceremony. And many here appreciated being able to say farewell.
I think it represents a lot about his life and what he expected. A simple celebration, but very beautiful.
Despite having other things to do today, I felt that I had to come here. I told myself I had to come and attend Holy Mass to accompany him in prayer.
The current Pope is now 86. He said he'll step down if his health stops him performing the role. And the Vatican's Foreign Secretary recently hinted that Pope Benedict's death could make that path easier.
It was already very complicated having two men wearing white in the Vatican. If Pope Francis had resigned while Benedict was still alive, we would have had two former popes and one reigning pope.
Pope Benedict was revered as a theologian by many Catholics, but by his own admission, he was a leader who failed to act decisively enough on cases of sexual abuse by clerics. His legacy is long and complex. Nadeem Barber, Al Jazeera.
There we go. So that's the last one for today's selection. Thank you again for joining me. And rest in peace, Pope Benedict XVI. And condolences for the followers of Catholic beliefs and for the family. Let me conclude, and I say congratulations for the new U.S. ambassador in Ethiopia. It's a very tough country. Don't be tricked by Abiy Ahmed misbehavior, lies, and they are not trustworthy. So he has to be tough on them and watch what they are saying, because they are not keeping their words. They are lying. So, all the Prosperity Party officials, including the Prime Minister, they are saying all mixed messages, lies, and they are not trustworthy. So I don't know how we're going to deal with this situation. So he has to be careful in managing Ethiopia, Mr. Erwin Jose. The Sudanese protest is a constant, is persistent, despite all the challenges they are facing. Deaths, injuries, and other mistreatment by military forces. So we Ethiopians and Oromos, if we learn from Sudanese resistance, we can control the misbehavior of Prosperity Party and Prime Minister lies. We can account them, very seriously. We can challenge them but we have to have the courage to come out and to denounce when they lie, to denounce when they say stupid statements. When you say we cannot afford the inflation, they cannot tell you to go out and eat weeds or get out from the city. That's a mistreatment from your leader, and instead of finding a solution. So we have to learn from Sudanese resistance movement and challenge our government to make them straight and to force them to have not referendum, but transitional government, which represents all Ethiopians, all stakeholders in that country. They cannot say whatever they want to say. They cannot lie to you if you are strong, if you are persistent at home and around the world. But especially Oromos, you cannot come out, protest, and go home for the next 3-4 months and come out and protest. No, that cannot bring pressure on Prosperity Party. You will not get enough attention from global community and from Prosperity Party. You have to be persistent and you have to do it constantly. Speak against this system, killing, destroying, especially increasing the suffering of Oromos in Oromia region. So that's all I'm going to say for today. I will be back with other news update. Thank you for joining me. So long until next time, and be safe. Thank you.